What up, dude bros? I'm Frank. This is a video overview of my new dart net. I recently posted up a video on my Instagram and I got a bunch of comments asking about its design and where I bought it and where they could buy one. So this is just a video overview of this thing. Too long didn't read. I didn't buy it. I built it out of 3/4 inch PVC and a bunch of netting I got from Joann's Fabric, and there's some poster board and some duct tape and some zip ties, and I think that's it. And what it does is catch Nerf darts. Like that. Too long didn't read over. Now to the full thing. Okay, the initial problem I was trying to solve with this build was the annoyance of picking up a bunch of darts that bounce all over the walls, because now they're all over the place. Now it's not too big a deal with darts because when you hit a wall, it bounces straight down and the dart stops moving. But when you shoot a rival round, because it's, a sphere, it hits the wall and just doesn't stop. It goes all over the place and it makes picking up the darts obnoxious. Like, I get a bunch of comments in my 430 dart challenge video saying, "Hey Coop, how long does it take you to clean all those up?" When I'm shooting 430 darts, it takes less than 5 minutes because I shoot them all into one area and I can kind of scoop them up into my dart buckets. So that cleanup isn't that time consuming. It actually takes way more time to pick up like 50 rival rounds because you shoot them even if you're aiming in one spot. They ricochet, they fly all over the place. I don't have carpet in my house. I have hard floors, so they just bounce all over. Not even counting the time of like lifting up my couch and finding like different rooms to clean out. Just the spread in the main room just makes it obnoxious to clean up. So this is really to tackle the rival round problem. Picking up darts has never been that big of an issue, and I wouldn't have gone through the hassle of building this and keeping this huge thing in my living room if it wasn't for rival. Not complaining about rival, because rival's awesome, but cleaning up rival is, no fun. And with the Nemesis, it's too easy to blow through like hundreds upon hundreds of rounds. Like you load up too fast, so cleanup time kind of sucks. But I did tune it to work with darts and rivals, but it's leaning more towards the rival round. And I say tune it because you have to adjust the weight and kind of the material of these like flapper things. The purpose of these flapper things is to slow down the dart to kind of absorb the kinetic energy while the dart's flying through the air. If it's too lightweight and not like resistant enough, the dart will just like fly through it and it won't actually like impact it. Not impact it, but like have an impact on it. Obviously the dart impacts it. Accidental play on words. But then if it's too firm and it doesn't give enough, the dart will simply bounce off, pretty much like how it bounces off a wall. So it's finding that middle ground, and that's going to depend on the velocity of the blaster. If you're only using stock blasters, modified blasters, and the characteristics of a dart in a rival round are a little different, at least in my testing, because some of the rival rounds would hit certain materials and like roll down, and then the end would like flip up, do this annoying little thing, and it would act like a little slip and slide or whatever, and at the end the rival round would just fly out of it, which was just obnoxious. I think that was cotton. Landed on this weird netting stuff. But okay, now to my materials. Before I get ahead of myself, the frame of this is 3/4 inch PVC, which I got from Home Depot. I don't want to spend the time in AutoCAD or even Microsoft Paint to draw a diagram, but what I have here is a rectangular prism, and then I also have these little crossbars down here. Now the tops and the bottom is a little bit different, and while it looks a little stylish, that's not really the reason. It's because I couldn't find the PVC corner, like an L with, a stick going this way, like that piece. If it exists, I'm sure it does online somewhere, but it's not at Home Depot. It's not a regular part. So I use the corners with L's and T's only. I just kind of like held the PVC up, and I didn't measure anything. And I've joked about this in modding videos. I don't really measure when I'm building something for myself, since whatever. When I had to make this equal to that, I set that next to that, drew a line, and used my pipe cutter to cut it. I didn't have to, why use a ruler if you don't really have to? But it's around about 2 feet by, I don't know, like 4 feet, maybe like 3.5 feet, and I'm a little over 6'3", so that's, I don't know, 6'6" maybe for the height, and that's again just white PVC. I was thinking about painting it, but I got a little impatient, just wanted to finish the project, so I didn't. Now what's covering all of the PVC, because the PVC is, just think of it like a skeleton, and now the skin, like, that's kind of a disgusting analogy, but it's accurate. So the skin of it is this netting I got from Joann's Fabric. If you go to Joann's BT Dubs, make sure you bring a coupon. Their entire business model is based on ripping off the people that don't use the coupons, so then their regular customers remember to use the coupons, so then they don't get like price gouged. Same philosophy is applied to like web forums where they turn off advertisements for like signed in users because they don't give a shit anyways. So they throw the ads at the, what do they call them, FNGs on the forums. Joann's Fabric is like a web forum IRL. Well, it probably existed before web forums, whatever. But I used like a 60% off coupon or something to save a lot. It was still kind of a lot of money. I bought everything at different times, so I don't want to like underestimate. You get all excited and then get bummed when it's over. It's maybe about $75 US, which is way more than I was anticipating when I started. That's also including some of the prototyping materials, but I like having fabric materials for silly projects, so I'll use those scraps for something else. I don't know, like a cargo net in my trunk. Anyways, that is the skin. Now, the first kind of basic design I ran through was a super loose back. So it acted like a giant net. So when I shot in, I didn't even need any of these, and the ammo would just strike a really loose net and fall down. but that was really difficult to like consistently funnel stuff unless it was like a big, what's that word, trough? Like the big open thing that pigs eat out of, trough? I don't know, it's that weird. And that way it like worked, but then I couldn't quickly scoop up the rounds. So having the funnel was like really important to me. If I was going to go through the hassle of building this stupid thing, it was going to be very useful for my particular needs. So it is a loose net on the back, but it's not like a super floppy net that is really effective. So without these things, a projectile would likely just bounce off. Well, okay, darts kind of suck. But a rival round would, okay. When they're flying at a higher velocity, duh. You'll see when I use the blaster demo. There. Okay. I'm not crazy. It happened. I saw it. I measured it. I wouldn't have gone through the hassle of doing all of this stupid crap if it didn't work without it. Yeah, so that explains all of the surrounding net. Now to these little pieces, I have some string. Now, there's probably a much better way to do this, like using a PVC thing, but it was like 3 or 4 a.m. when I was at this stage of the build, and I didn't have another T bracket, or I ran out of PVC. And I didn't want to wait because Home Depot is not a 24-hour shop. So I could have made more PVC things to have like a more rigid like support system here, but I didn't. I found some of my string I had and tied up a bunch of string so I could secure my little panels, which also explains why I have this piece of duct tape here. Even as tacky as that looks in like super scrub status, exposing all of the string is even more scrubby. So it works. It's prettier. It's not pretty, but it's prettier. Anyway, so the string webbing system up there holds up my little panels. So what these things do again is absorb the kinetic energy from the projectiles so they fall straight down instead of ricocheting off. So I made them a little bit bigger, and yeah, I have to be real with you, also out of laziness, like it would also work, and I might actually, because I'm still getting ricochets off of this, I might end up stripping all of these down in half and spreading them out a little bit more. But don't make me do stuff. It works good enough now, so I don't want to put more time into it. It took like a whole night to build this thing. Why not have one panel, you ask? I tried that, but when you shoot at it at an angle, I had a lot of like ricochets that did that and bounced out and stuff. So this is a better way to not guarantee the dart catches, because I do still have a few bounce outs, but it's much less often. But to kind of increase the likelihood of a successful dart catch. And that's also why they're at different levels and kind of staggered all over the place to kind of make sure wherever I accidentally shoot the dart, it will catch it. Then I have these big soft ones over here because that was scrap out of the basic netting, although it's not as effective because it's super lightweight, and that kind of illustrates the difference in the netting. This is more flexible and like cloth-like. This is almost like plasticky. I don't know what normal people would use this for. I guess almost like a screen. Well, it's not a very visible screen, or like a, yeah, so that's the dart catching apparatus, or the KE transfer panels. Trying to make it sound all hardcore, like Formula One cars who have the kinetic energy transfer modules on the braking systems to regenerate and boost. Although mine's just a big PVC net, so not as hardcore as Formula One, whatevs. Okay, now down to the funnel section. Initially, I was going to use netting for this, but I switched over to poster board because, well, first I think it just looks a whole lot cooler, and when I slanted and made a funnel out of the netting on one of my prototypes, the darts would occasionally catch up. On the rival rounds, it worked almost every time because they're balls and they can roll a little bit better, but some of the darts would get caught on the netting, so that was annoying. Poster board, it works out. I got the poster board at Joann's along with the netting. Poster board was like $3-4 per panel, and I have 2 here, so it's just like majorly angled in, and then there is a little flat section where darts can land, but it's not that big a deal. The rival rounds, I don't think have ever gotten caught there. And that's all leading to a hole that's in the shape of a rectangle, which is slightly smaller than, you know, the rectangle top view of my bucket, obviously, to make sure they all like land in there. And I have 2 little PVC supports going underneath the end of the funnel. Totally not necessary, overbuilt. I just kind of drew it out that way. It made sense in my head after I built it. Turned out the zip tying of the poster board was strong enough. Totally waste of time, but at that point, I wasn't going to undo it since I already built it. It's, I don't know, like $1 worth of PVC, not worth the time. And that's placed just above in height to the bucket, you know, so there's not a whole lot of like waste in there. And that's one so I can have a bigger opening up here, and also to make sure like there isn't a giant gap in there for a high velocity round to be rolling and to go in there. Like if the hole in the bucket was way under here. There's always that one guy who has the trash bin in like the built-in into the cabinet, but he uses the super small trash can. So you throw trash in there, and then it doesn't actually go in the trash can because he was supposed to use the trash can that went all the way up into the thing. I had this one teacher in high school that did that, and it drove me crazy because I love playing the basketball. I would go woo and try to like throw trash into the trash can, but it wouldn't actually go in the trash can. It would just drove me mad. I didn't have to take out the trash, so I really shouldn't care, but it bothered me just on principle. Oh, and the little bottom here, again, it should have like some type of official thing, but I actually just used duct tape and like wrapped it around like a hammock kind of. And it works well. It's not like super important or anything. There is a little bit of play there because it's like a duct tape hammock. I think that's the best word for it, or like layer. Reminds me of one of those beach chairs, like when a fat person gets out of it, you see all the flex in the material. So, okay. Yep, so that is that. Oh, the entire construction is done out of zip ties. Probably the worst way possible to do it. So if you know how to use a sewing machine, you could save some time. But even then, like I was thinking about wrapping some string and trying to do some cool stuff like that, but I would have spent hours upon hours trying to make it look decent. So I used some zip ties that are pretty discreet. Found a pack of inexpensive ones on Amazon. Don't buy zip ties from Home Depot, BT dubs. I think Walmart sells some really cheap ones. If you need them to hold like a high strength, get good zip ties. Some people think all zip ties are the same. They're not. It's a different quality of plastic and locking system. But for something like this, where it's not what I would consider load bearing, it's not like it's really trying to hold something heavy or that's going to be seriously stressed. It's netting. I mean, I'm sure the netting will rip before the zip tie breaks, but you can save some money buying on Amazon or Walmart or a cheaper place for the lighter weight applications like this. And so these are all the inexpensive zip ties. Yep, so that is the construction of my ammo net thing. Now to, I guess, the demo. Alien Menace Incisor. This blaster has not been modified. So representing factory velocities. See, bounce out. Some of the time, when you do a quick double tap, occasionally that rattles the things and that can change stuff too. That's also why I have so many of them. Yeah, modified Strife. Forget the chrono, but it's probably like about 100 FPS. Oh, those just touched. Did you see that? Betrayal. One dart, I think, ran into the other and used its like solidness to ricochet. Bummer. I also typically don't shoot it from 3 feet away. It's across the room, but it works in the same way. Rival Nemesis to represent rival rounds. What the F is that? Oh, that's Nebulous. She's the cat that doesn't like Nerf rounds. I'm gonna walk behind the further away to represent range. Quite a few bounce outs. Yeah, there looks 3 or 4 waffle head for the darts. I wish I could count the rival ones, but they bounce so effing far away I can't even count them. Probably 5, 6. You know, it's not perfect. It's not perfect, but it's better than shooting at a wall. So show. Yepers. So that is my ammo dart catch thing, but it works. It's good enough. I like the design, and I like as far as like when I'm using it, I love it. But right now I'm getting a little annoyed with how big it is, and the initial design was like collapsible, so I could like fold it up into like a ball, like when I collapse my tripod and all my stuff, so I could shove it into a corner and it's not all up in my business blocking light. No matter where I am, it's blocking light from something because it's wicked big. As I started building, I just kept thinking, we have the technology, we can build it bigger, stronger, I can do it, and I got kind of carried away. So the collapsible version, because of how I zip tied it, it won't work very well. So I like it, it works well, but I might end up like taking it down and sourcing the PVC for another project and keeping the net for, I use net for all sorts of stuff. Like I just like the fabrics because I end up, I don't know, doing stuff. But hopefully I answered all your questions. Good luck if you want to build one. I would recommend just, making maybe a smaller one. Like the difficulty of having one like this big, you're limited in how far you can shoot away from it. Otherwise you're going to miss and they're still going to bounce all over the place. Or if you're using a really crappy gun, like I just shot the Battle Scout and the initial Battle Scout to compare to the Battle Camo one, and I kept missing because that gun is so inconsistent and just crap. So having a bigger opening helps. And with the insertion of the, I'll stop there. Oh man, boom, done. Ammo net overview, done. I already said that. What else? I'm Frank, as always, bros. Stay tactical.